Mongolia considers India as its third neighbor, its spiritual neighbor. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had visited Mongolia. It was a historic visit and still remembered. Here in Delhi with me is India's envoy to Mongolia to talk about partnership at a time of the COVID crisis. Welcome to WION. My first question to you is an obvious one. How both the countries are partnering at a time of this crisis, at a time of COVID pandemic, given the fact that India is reaching out to so many countries, has there been any request when it comes to medicines as well? Because India has been getting requests for HCQ, especially by a lot of countries.
First of all, thank you, Sidhant. My greetings from Mongolia to you and to your viewers. You asked me a particular question about our cooperation. I can say that Mongolia relatively is less impacted by the COVID pandemic. The reason being they moved in quite early as in January, the last week of January, when even before the first case broke out. So comparatively, the situation here is slightly better than other countries in the region and worldwide. Yes, we have received requests from Mongolia. As a matter of fact, as we speak today, there is a consignment of paracetamol and hydrochloroquine. It's on way via Korea into Mongolia. And in addition, we had offered to the Mongolian National Center for Communicable Diseases, which is the main center dealing with the preparedness and management of this pandemic, along with the Ministry of Health. We have offered them online courses which were conducted by the PGI Chandigarh. So two of their senior officials have already undergone that training. And in addition to this, there is a request already made from the Ministry of Health to, I think, one or two Indian companies about supply of the medicine called Remdesivir, which is being used for the treatment of this COVID pandemic. And these are some of the initiatives that are done. We are in regular touch with the Mongolian Ministry of Health as well as National Center for Communicable Diseases. I personally visited that, and it's only day before that we had flown in 158 Mongolian nationals from India and flown out some people from here. So yeah, we are cooperating well at all levels wherever we could. And with Mongolia, as you rightly said, we have a strategic partnership. It's one of the 5 countries with which Mongolia has partnership, and India has partnership with Mongolia, which is strategic in nature, announced during the visit of Prime Minister Shri Modi, which brought in a paradigm shift into our relationship.
Mhm. So talking about any Indians, are there any Indians in Mongolia who might be stranded because of the lockdown India had announced? We know that India has launched a mega repatriation mission as well. So are they part of this mission? Will they be coming back to India through this mission?
Well, yes, you are right. As compared to other countries, Mongolia has a relatively small size of Indian diaspora. They number around 200 plus. Mostly they are professionals scattered all around. And yes, we have had requests for repatriation to India from Indian nationals. So far, we repatriated 5 Indians were repatriated about a month back, and 10 Indians were repatriated, or rather evacuated, you could say, on the special relief flight, which was operated by the Mongolian Airlines to bring back their own citizens. So yeah, we have taken about 15 Indian nationals out of it, and about 2 more requests are pending, but they are more procedural in nature. And once we complete, we'll try and see how we could assist those 2 people also.
Mhm. So, how has been life for you, for the Indian diplomats, when it comes to working? Has diplomacy changed for you because now less physical interaction is taking place and more virtual interaction is taking place? So, can you talk about that? And also, has it stopped you from interacting with the stranded Indian community because missions across the world are using various innovative ways to reach out while they cannot meet but reach out through various electronic means?
Yeah, I am glad that you asked me this question. As a matter of fact, as I told you, Mongolia has relatively been less impacted. So life here has not been like the lockdown that you are seeing in India or other places. We had a very small lockdown early in January, and thereafter life has been relatively normal. Yes, of course, we are using all virtual tools in our interactions here. There is no ban per se about the movement of Indian diplomats or even the local people can move around. The only thing is that we have to follow some norms like wearing a mask, which is a mandatory thing, keeping some distance, and of course, other events, big events are all cancelled. But we are able to meet freely with any of the local dignitaries, including the ministers. As I told you earlier, that we have been attending almost all of the earlier briefings. We have certain norms like 10 to 20 people in the room at a distance. So yeah, we are pretty much normal in other sense of the word. But yes, you are right. We are doing much more business through online, through virtual mode rather than in person. Your second part is about the Indian community. As I told you, it's relatively small, 200 plus. So what we do is that we remain in touch with them. We have formed a WhatsApp group in which there are about 80 plus members. And separately, we regularly post our updates from the Mongolian government, from the Indian government, on the travel restrictions, on the guidelines that needs to be followed. We also have called a few online sessions with selective representatives of the Indian associations. And in person, I have met the office bearers of the only Indian association, which is called India Club here in Mongolia. So all of these, I would say, technological tools available to you and to us are helping us keep this connect intact, and we are sharing updates. And I think we have had fairly good interaction, and we remain in touch with each other.
Mm. So, final question to you is, how do you see the larger relationship between both the countries going on further? I know under the COVID crisis, as you just told us, India has been giving medicines to Mongolia. But how both countries are making sure that the partnership goes strength to strength in future, perhaps after COVID time?
I will put your question in two brackets, say pre-COVID and post-COVID. As it is, as I told you, that India is one of the five countries with which we were the fourth country, and the fifth country was US. So, and from 2015, there has been a paradigm shift in our relationship with Mongolia in almost all walks of life, all aspects of relationship. The very fact that India's single largest project of assistance outside immediate neighborhood of about $1.236 billion has been made to Mongolia for construction of Mongol refinery, the first ever Mongol refinery here, capable of producing or refining 1.5 million metric tons of crude. Speaks volume of our relationship. Now, coming to the second part, I explained to you as to how we are collaborating, or rather helping Mongolia at this time, which I think in terms of providing them special assistance for export of paracetamol, hydrochloroquine. And as I told you, there is a request pending from the Ministry of Health from Mongolia into some of our companies for supply of Remdesivir. So this is going on. Going forward, I would see that this cooperation is going to be expanded further. Two reasons. One, that the oil refinery which I talked about is $1.236 billion. So you can imagine, the volume, and it will impact every single economic activity in this country. And recently, because of these three consignments that have come in, has made them aware about India's strength in the pharma sector. I mean, we have now many started calling India as the pharmacy of the world. So this sector is certainly going to grow. And I'm glad to share news with you that just about a few months ago, acknowledging this potential. There is a center called India Mongolia Health Cooperation Center that has come up, which is looking into the ways and means to expand our relationship. So the areas of focus would not only be pharmaceutical, not only would be healthcare, medicine. I think going beyond. So I would say, as these challenging times have provided us opportunity, and Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has given India the self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is going to provide a greater framework for expanding India's cooperation into this region, and especially as a part of ACT East policy into Mongolia as well. So yeah, I see that we are cooperating well, but the best in our relationship with Mongolia is yet to come.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION on several aspects of this relationship at a time of the COVID pandemic.
Thank you, Sidhant, and it was a pleasure talking to you. All the best.